Nicolette D'Onofrio, Queensland, Lane 1. She ran a personal best of 13.74 this season, came through the heat, and she's ready. A tough, consistent competitor who belongs on this start line. Tammin Lampret, Lane 2. Still a teenager, already at national championship level, chasing a world under 20 standard. Celeste Mucci, Lane 3. Former elite heptathlete, now a specialist hurdler and in the form of her life. Jenneke, Lane 4, Australia. 3-time national champion. Second fastest Australian woman of all time over the hurdles. Personal best of 12.65. She is the name in this race. Britton, Lane 5. Sharp all season, came out of her heat full of energy, and she is fired up for this final. Danielle Shaw, Victoria, Lane 6. She's set the early season standard more than once, and she's going extremely well again. Coached by Nicholas Cross, who has produced national champions. Jacinta Lampret, Lane 7. The older of the two Lampret sisters in this final, experienced and ready to compete. Abby Tadeo, Lane 8. She competes at national championship level and coaches a full squad on the warm-up track. Doing both, doing it well, and she looked solid in the heat. Leah Richards, Lane 9. At the Paris Olympics, she tore her hamstring right off the bone. She came back, rebuilt, and she's here racing at nationals again. 9 lanes. Every one of them has a story. Every one of them has earned this moment, and the crowd here knows it. Women's 100 meters hurdles final. Australian Championships. 10 barriers. 1 winner. The best in the country are set and ready. Jenneke, locked in. Calm and focused. They're in the blocks. Stadium's dead quiet. This is it. Here we go. They're off. Jenneke out fast. Britton right there. Jenneke through hurdle 1, clean. Mucci was right there, but she's down hard. Jenneke clear, Britton second, Shaw in third, flying to the line. Jenneke wins. 4 national titles, 12.74. Jenneke, 4-time Australian champion, and she knows exactly what she's done. Britton, silver. Danielle Shaw, bronze. This crowd is absolutely roaring, and every single one of these women deserves it. Concern now for Celeste Mucci, walking off the track, grabbed her side after the fall. She came in at peak form, and that's a hard way for it to end. Jenneke, though, is on fire. Watch this in slow motion. Out of the blocks, Jenneke is low and aggressive from step 1. Lead leg snaps out sharp and comes right back down. No float, no hang time. The trail leg whips around tight, and she's back into full sprint before others clear the barrier. Now here's where it goes wrong for Mucci. She's pushing hard, trying to stay with Jenneke's pace, gets just a fraction too close to the hurdle. At this speed, that margin is everything. She clips it, goes down hard. Jenneke doesn't even look. She drives through the middle section with perfect rhythm, and the gap to Britton just keeps growing. 12.74, not far off her personal best of 12.65, and she's the fastest Australian over the barriers this year. Jenneke didn't win this race at the finish line. She won it at hurdle 1, and the replay makes that absolutely clear. Out of the blocks, she was low, controlled, and already reading the first barrier before most of the field had settled into their running mechanics. The approach was textbook. Perfectly measured strides, lead leg snapping out sharp and coming back down fast. No hang time, no drift. That snap down is the technical signature of elite hurdling at this level. Most athletes, even very good ones, lose fractions by floating slightly after the lead leg clears. The trail leg whips around, and by the time they're back in sprint position, they've surrendered a small but real slice of momentum. Jenneke doesn't do that. She clears, and she's immediately back into full stride, aggressive and low, attacking the next barrier before it even comes into her field of vision. Over 10 hurdles that compounds. It's not one moment, it's a pattern, and it's why she builds a gap that looks much larger than the time difference suggests. Celeste Mucci was the variable nobody could fully account for beforehand. She had genuine speed, and she'd been building toward this race. Through the opening strides, she was right there with Jenneke, genuinely in contention, not just keeping pace, but pushing it. Then she got a fraction too close to a hurdle, clipped it, and went down hard. She grabbed her side walking off the track, which raises obvious concerns about the nature of the injury. The margin at this pace is measured in centimeters. You don't get to recalibrate once the rhythm breaks at 12-second pace. There's no recovery window. 1 centimeter of miscalculation and you're on the track surface. Mucci was in the kind of form where a clean run puts her well inside 13 seconds. almost certainly challenging for the podium, possibly challenging Jenneke directly. Instead, she's watching from the infield. That's the brutal and random element of hurdling that flat sprinting simply doesn't have. You can be perfectly fit, perfectly prepared, and the race still ends like that. With Mucci out of it, the competitive question became how much Britton and Shaw could close over the second half. Emily Britton in lane 5 ran 12.95. That's a real time. At most national championships around the world, 12.95 wins or comes very close to winning. She ran her race, maintained her mechanics, and finished clear of the field. The problem was that Jenneke had already opened a gap through the middle section of the race, roughly hurdles 4 through 7, where rhythm either locks in or fractures. Britton's rhythm held. It just didn't match what was happening in lane 4. The 0.21 margin between first and second sounds manageable on paper. In real time, over 100 meters of hurdles, that's a controlled demolition. Danielle Shaw ran 13.09 for bronze, which is consistent with her season. Both Britton and Shaw ran races they don't need to apologize for. They were simply up against someone operating at a different level tonight. Abby Tadeo finished 4th at 13.40. She coaches a full training squad alongside her own competition preparation, which is genuinely unusual at this standard. Coaching and competing at national final level simultaneously requires a kind of compartmentalization that most athletes can't manage. She ran 13.40. That's not a top 3 finish, but it's a performance that belongs in this conversation, and under those circumstances, it's worth understanding rather than just filing as a result. The Lampret sisters are the longer-term story in this field. Jacinta in lane 7 ran 13.60. Tammin in lane 2 ran 13.82. They're both targeting World Under 20 selection, which means they're not yet trying to beat Jenneke. They're trying to run times that open doors to the next level of competition. Two sisters in the same national final is rare. Two sisters both running times that are competitive in that under 20 context is rarer still. The gap between them and the podium is real, but it's a gap that closes with time if the development curve holds. The fact that they're both here in this final at this age is the data point that matters. Leah Richards finished 8th at 13.90. The number alone doesn't tell the story. She tore her hamstring off the bone at the Paris Olympics. That's not a standard soft tissue injury. That's a structural trauma that ends careers, or at minimum costs athletes years of recovery and a significant percentage of what they were before. She used the following season to rebuild. Came back to national championship level, made this final, and ran 13.90. That's not a competitive result in the context of this race. As a marker of rehabilitation and return, it's a different kind of number entirely. Now for the historical frame. Michelle Jenneke is a 4-time Australian national champion in the 100 meters hurdles. Her personal best sits at 12.65. She's the second fastest Australian woman of all time over the barriers. The name above her on that list is Sally Pearson, who won Olympic gold in London and a world championship title, and who held the world record for a period. That's not a random comparison. That's the actual historical hierarchy of Australian women's hurdling, and Jenneke is the number 2 name in it. A 12.65 personal best places her competitively at the international level, not just in heats, but in finals at major championships. The question that has followed her throughout her career is whether she can consistently produce that ceiling time when the competition demands it. Tonight, she ran 12.74. Clean, controlled, dominant within the field. Not her best time, but a performance that demonstrates the machinery is working correctly. The Australian Championships function as a form benchmark for the international season ahead. A 12.74 on a national final day without appearing to be fully extended suggests she arrives at whatever comes next with her preparation in order. That's a different position from chasing fitness or managing a build. She's already at the level. The next question is simply what the international calendar presents and whether the fields she lines up against can force her to something closer to 12.65. She cleared 10 barriers tonight without a meaningful error. Mucci's fall removed the most unpredictable variable in the race, but Jenneke wasn't reacting to Mucci. She was running her own race from hurdle 1. That's the detail that stands out. She won by controlling the things she can control and executing the technical patterns she spent years building. 12.74, 4 national titles, second all-time in Australia. That's where she stands right now, and nothing about tonight suggested she's anywhere near the end of what she can do.